and welcome back to the NOIC Godcast. This month, we've been talking about love and what it truly means to love as a Christian, and basically just kind of looking over how the world sees it and then how we are supposed to see it biblically. Today, I want to talk about being Jesus' friend. So we've been looking at John 15, and we are going to continue with the verses 14 and 15 today. I think Josh stopped with 13, but we're going to continue on. Ye are my friends, if ye do whatsoever I command you. Henceforth I call you not servants, for the servant knoweth not what his Lord doeth, but I have called you friends, for all things that I have heard of my Father I have made known unto you. In the scripture, Jesus is telling the disciples that they're more than just servants to him. We're called to follow, and they were following him around and doing the things that, he was doing. But he calls them more than that. He calls them friends. And I don't know about you, but I think that sounds like I would really like for Jesus to tell me verbally, you are one of my friends. You know what I mean? Like, it's a totally different situation than just being like, oh, one in the crowd. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? But I think that all of us would say we want to be his friend. But I think very few people are willing to do what it takes to be his friend. And definitely, this is not an easy task, and it can't be obtained within ourselves. We have to have him in order to be his friend. So how can we be friends of Jesus? I think that we need to take a look at the word friend. Nowadays, I think that we use this word way too loosely. Like, because I'm a person that cares about how other people feel about things. So either for a lack of better term, like we'll say, I know in several cases I've said, like, oh, my friend, when like I've seen him like twice. Right. Do you know what I mean? Like you're telling a story and you're like, my friend said this, or my friend went through this, and you don't really you're like, I've seen him 3 times. Or for lack of wanting to hurt someone's feelings, you call them a friend. Yeah. Do you know what I mean? Like,
because it's weird to call them an acquaintance if they feel more about you. You know what I mean? Like, exactly. Like secret friends, and it's like what movie is that? Or is it Open Season? Buddy.
Yes, exactly. And so you don't want to make people feel bad, so you use the word friend, because nowadays I think it's lost its term, lost its strength and its power to it. But the word that Jesus actually used here is philo. And this means to have a deep relationship where each party has a sense of duty to one another. So this isn't like, oh, I see you once a week or once a month and we don't ever care about what anybody else is doing. This is something where you make in your life a priority to be around one another, to do the things that the other one cares about. You have so much love for the other person that you feel that it is your priority to do the things for one another. So to be called Jesus' friend, you must be in a constant state of making Jesus a priority. To have a desire to do the things that Jesus needs you to do. This means that you're not just forced to do what Jesus needs you to do. You want to do these things and have a desire to complete the task, no matter how hard they are. So along with having a desire to do the task Jesus gives, we have to know what the Lord is doing. Now, I'm not talking about knowing everything about him. Obviously, there's a lot of things that we will never understand because we don't have the ability to do that. What I'm talking about is being about our Father's business. So in verse 15, it says, "For the servant knoweth not what his Lord doeth, but I have called you friends, for all things that I have heard of my Father I have made known unto you." If we want to be friends of Jesus, we can't just sit idly and wait for Jesus to make us do something. We don't just get to sit on the sidelines waiting for him to force us into the field. Think about your best friend. I don't think I have any of those, but if you had a best friend, but think about your best friend. If they're doing something, you're not just going to sit there and watch them suffer. Well, I mean,
that's a little...
Maybe you do. There's no judgment here. But in a general sense, you help them. One of my things that I think about is, obviously, I don't know if everybody out there knows this, but we're friends. We're just a little bit friends. We've been friends for about 100 years now. And I look good, right? Yeah, right? We're good. But the biggest, when I was thinking about this, and I was thinking about the times when you have 3 kids, And for a lot of our adult lives, you've had kids. And so like when we're going out and doing things, like I come over to your house to go do things with you guys, it's a checklist of making sure that everybody has everything. Now, is it my responsibility technically, like we're friends, but is it my responsibility technically to make sure that everything's in the diaper bag? Is it my responsibility to make sure that your kids they have their coats on, their shoes on, they're in the car and they're buckled up? Like, it's not my responsibility technically. Like from a logical standpoint, it's not my job. But when I come over there, it
makes my life so much easier.
It is part of like, it's the double check. Does everybody have cups? Does everybody have this? Does everybody, you know what I mean? And so like, but I don't do that because I feel forced to do it. You're not, Jamie, can you make sure that this stuff is in the diaper bag? Can you make sure that this is this? Like, I'm just alongside of you. And if I know the things that need to be done, and then if there are things that I don't know if they need done or not, I ask you. And so I was just thinking about that. And I'm like, that is such like the perfect example of like how we're supposed to be with Jesus. We're willing to do it for physical friendships, but we're not willing to do it for the person that died on a cross for us. Like, I guess that's the thing is like, we don't ever, I think a lot of times, and I don't think it's wrong to have the things where you're sitting still waiting for direction. Like, obviously there are times when we're supposed to be sitting still and waiting for direction. But I think that sometimes we take that to an extreme and we don't take initiative because we're waiting for God to tell us what we're supposed to be doing, when in reality, it's supposed to be a communication. So just as much as it's important for a physical relationship for us to have communication, if I didn't ever talk to you and we were just standing there next to each other, I would never know what you need done with these kids.
Right. Well, I mean, what happens? So we don't we don't ever text each other or call. Calling's even more weird. We don't talk to each other until we see
calls. We're like, what?
Yeah, are you dying? Did you hit a moose? Like what? Why are you calling me?
It was a moose-sized raccoon. Thank you very much.
Okay, whatever. But as soon as we see each other like in person, what do we do?
It's nonstop talk.
Like, it's just not, it's like
you guys have seen it. Now listen, the whole week of camp, actually, who came up to us and said that to us? We were talking and somebody came up to us and said, every time we see you, you're talking. Yeah. Was it Adam?
It might have been.
I remember. Somebody came up to us and said, you're always talking.
Yeah. That's because we want to catch up in a sense, or like what's important to me, I can tell it's important to you. So it's fun and it's exciting to share things and to have that mutual
connection. Yeah. And I think that's the thing is like, if we never had a communication, we'd never know what the other one needs. And actually to the point now that me and her don't even have to really communicate through verbal words a lot of the time.
It's a lot of this.
And a lot of hee-hee.
Weird for the audio.
For those who are not watching,
we're making weird facial gestures. We're like, raised eyebrows.
Nose twitch.
Like we already have, and we're always like one step ahead of one another. So we know what's going on because we have that good bond. We have that relationship. And I believe that you can have that. Now, again, you're never going to understand God to the fullest extent. And there's going to be things that you don't understand.
And you can't get ahead of God.
Exactly.
You can't go like before him.
Exactly. But like you can be right there ready for it. You don't have to be sitting on the sideline waiting for him to tell you something. You can be sitting right there and being like, what do you need?
It's like the phrase that Josh uses. I think it was in Sunday school. He used it a lot, or wherever. Josh has a lot of sayings, he uses a lot of places. But
true.
God's already working, you join him where he's working.
Yes.
So like he's running and you just get up there and run right along with him. That's kind of what this makes me think of.
Yeah, and I think that's the thing. Like even when which in later years we've became a little bit more in tune with what's going on with camp. But even like in years past when Josh was like the only person that knew exactly what was going on, that was like what we had to do. We had to like run up right next to him and be like, okay, what's going on?
In order to work, we had to run.
Yeah, we had to run. We were riding next to him in a golf cart. You know what I mean? So I think that's the thing is we're willing to put the work in our physical relationships. That's exactly how it works for him. That's exactly how it works for Jesus. You can't expect somebody. There's people in my life that I would consider more than acquaintances, but I can't just work right next to them side by side seamlessly. Like it's a little bit more communication verbally. It's a little bit more like trying to figure out how the other person works. But when you work with someone all the time and you're constantly in communication with them, it's almost like you're one working together. And that's exactly what Jesus wants for us. And that's what he's talking about here to his disciples. Now, there's a lot of people that followed him. Like, dude always had a lot of multitudes around him all the time. Like, he would go away and then there's always multitudes right there. But he didn't call them friends. They followed him. They believed in the things that he was doing, but he didn't call them friends. And that's what I'm saying. Like, the disciples were right there, right next to him. What do you need? What do you do? And that's what Jesus is calling us to be. It's not friendship in the way that we see things. Actually, the title of this podcast.
I knew it was going to come up eventually.
Because I'm funny and nobody else believes it.
I thought you were going to say I'm funny and no one else thinks so.
Yeah, no one else thinks so. The title of this podcast is Perfect Philoship, because Philo-ship. It's funny. Laugh, please. We need a laugh sign.
Like a flashy laugh sign.
Yes. Or applause.
Yeah. It'd be weird if they applaud, though we wouldn't know.
No. Well, if you applause, could you please record it and send it to us?
Comment down below that you applauded.
Can you at least give us is there clapping hands? There's a clapping hand emoji, right?
Yeah, I think
Is there
so.
clapping hand? Yeah, give us clapping hand emojis. Unless you're not there, then don't. But like, that's the thing is, we're supposed to be in a perfect, not just fellowship with him, but a Philoship. So it's a deep connection of feeling that what he has going on is important to us. And I think that's what we're lacking nowadays. And for us to be friends with Jesus, we need to take initiative and follow where he leads. It's not like we were saying before, it's not like, there have been times when we've done things and people like force you to do things. Like, you don't really want to do things, but like out of either obligation, guilt, or whatever, people are like, well, I guess I should because I'll be seen as a bad person if I don't. That's not the relationship that Jesus wants with us. He wants a relationship where it's not even a question.
You're genuinely invested.
Yes.
In it.
And it's not even a question. Like, it's not I wonder if, like, Jesus is sitting there, I wonder if Jamie's going to do this. Right. He knows that I'm right there and wanting to do what he needs done. But yeah, I think that's all I have for this. Do you have any thing you want to say? Thank you. But this week's Charge Up Challenge is, instead of waiting for Jesus to force you into things, wake up every day and ask, what do you need me to do? Maybe do it several times a day. When you first start doing something like that, it's uncomfortable. Yeah, it's awkward. It is because you're like, I'm afraid, one, you don't know what he's going to ask you to do. Like, it seems like it's not part of your normal routine, so it's going to be hard to remember to ask him to do this. But the more you do something, the easier it becomes. I remember even just a normal friendship, like, again, we've been friends for 33,000 years.
We're getting older as we sit here.
And like, when we first became friends, we didn't always trust each other with everything because we were young, for one. But like, two, we didn't know that we'd be such good friends. Right. But now I would say that there's not a whole lot in either one of our lives that either one of us don't know about. Yeah. And even if we don't know about just because we haven't seen each other yet, tell us about it. And so I think that's the thing is, like, you need to grow your relationship with Jesus. Mm-hmm. So throughout this week and weeks on, take that time and ask him what you need to do. And don't just be like, well, what do you need me to do? And then book it out of there. Like, oh, he didn't tell me nothing. Yeah. You have to set some time. Because if I just, which I know it seems like I talk a lot, and I do. But like, if I never let Rachel say anything, it wouldn't mean anything. If I was just like, hey, how are you doing? And then walk away from you, run as fast as I can because I don't want you to respond to me. Right. That's not going to do anything. I know
some people that do that.
I know. I might do that to some people, and I am so sorry if I do. But take that time and listen, because even though you may not hear audibly, you will hear it in your heart. You'll hear it in the things that you will actually see it in your life, and you'll see he'll guide you towards the direction that you need to go. But yeah, that's what I have for today. It was it. The considerable quote today, not by anybody.
Yeah, I think you write these.
You know what? I think
they're good.
Just what?
So they're good if you do write them.
I'm amazing, I'm just nobody.
Just a nobody.
It's a generator. Quote generator. If we want to grow closer to God, we'll have to distance ourselves from whatever is distracting us. And I think that's the truest thing. Everyone says we don't have time throughout the day. Don't have time. You have time. Mm-hmm. I think that if you looked at, and I don't know about all Android users, but Apple users,
you can see exactly which app you spend exactly how much time on. That's a very ucky thing. I don't like looking at that.
Not only can you look at that at any time, it gives you a report on Sundays.
Yeah. On Sundays of all days.
It's the day that you're like, oh yeah, I'm gonna get closer to Jesus. You spent 37 hours on this. Whoops.
Like, I don't like those things.
So you can see exactly where you're spending your time.
Yep.
And not only that, you can see, I found out that you can see what you go to first.
Yeah.
Your
what's
what's it called?
Opened app.
Yeah, the what's it called? Lift up app or whatever it is. Like whenever you raise your phone,
The first thing.
what's the first app that you go to? And a lot of times it's not anything good.
Yeah, it's not the Bible app.
It's not the Bible app. But yeah, I think that's the main thing about having a relationship is being able to take that time. And if you're putting other things before him, you're not going to ever make that time. You're always going to make an excuse.
Yeah, we all put time for whatever's important to you.
Exactly.
No matter how you think, that's what's going to actually happen.
Exactly. Today's featured content is Closer by Brandon Lake. Oh, our answer.
Oh, yeah, the answer to
It was the Tuesday Fun Fact Friday?
Yeah.
Fun Fact Friday.
That sounds good.
Yeah. We did it totally wrong. It's fine. But the answer to the trivia was axe. So if you got that right, good job. If you didn't,
Try
do
next
better.
week.
Yay! You know what I always say? I told the kids this and I tell those people at work, sometimes you win, sometimes you learn. As long as you remember that it was axe, you know.
You learned.
You learned. But we really appreciate you guys tuning in. And I think that's everything. So till next time, bye.
Bye.